my car is spending a little too much time in the garage lately. We had some great warm weather as I was working through getting the 3M put on the car and the ceramic coating all done, and getting it ready for the road. And then just as soon as that was done, we had a dip in the weather here and went back to snowing. I think I'm going to start the video off with a shot of the snow coming down, actually, so you'll know I'm not telling stories. So I haven't been out in the car. I had hoped to have been out driving it around a bit and put up a video of it, but in the interim I did want to, or I did buy myself a few toys for this car, and the toy that I bought was actually to deal with the wheels and tires on this car, which are just an awesome feature of the R model, and one of the reasons why I bought it was the carbon fiber wheels, which reduce unsprung weight of the car, improve the handling performance of it, particularly in track circumstances. They're not as important on the street environment, probably help a bit in terms of the ride smoothness, but really in terms of driving on the road, you really shouldn't be using this car to its full extent on the road. So one of the issues with the carbon fiber wheels is the cost if you ever curb one of these suckers. I'm told of around $4 grand, but I really haven't looked at it in detail. I really didn't want to curb these, run the risk of curbing one of these wheels. And the other thing I was mindful of was I wanted to drive this car on a regular basis, and regardless of weather, if you will. You know, I'm not proposing to be just occasional Sunday drive on sunny weather. I wanted to be able to head out on a day, and if it was going to rain, not be afraid of driving it. But with these monster tires on the back of this car in front, the Cup 2s, they have very little tread pattern, as you can see here. And while they have great dry weather performance and reasonable wet weather, I really didn't particularly feel comfortable wanting to drive a car with such limited tread pattern in the rain. I've had some unfortunate experiences in my life of driving slick tires in the rain. These here, where lost control of the car and on sheer slicks and ended up facing backwards. I've done it once or twice in my life, and didn't want to do it with this car. It's far too nice of a car, so I bought some presents for myself and my car, which are some Michelin PS4S tires. So you can see on them they have a much more pronounced tread pattern to help mitigate the risk of hydroplaning. You still obviously could use more tread to even improve that performance, but I feel reasonably confident driving these tires in the rain as I do the Cup 2s. So it's hard to find, the only tire I've been able to find with the exact stock size are Cup 2s. I struggle to find other tires out there that would actually have the same, dimensions as the stock tires. So I went the PS4S route. Got some 305/30s for the back of the car and some 295/30s for the front. They'll have a slightly different diameter than the stock tire, and that will cause issues with speedometer, odometer readings. So I plan to also take it down to the Ford dealership at some point here to have that recalibrated in the computer. And then, so I got new tires, and what came with them was actually a set of wheels also that I bought that actually match exactly the R appearance of the car, which I wanted to preserve. So yeah, these are made of aluminum. They're flow form. They're not forged aluminum, so they aren't. They're cheap as a result, and they're less expensive than a forged wheel because it's not machined out of a billet of aluminum. But yeah, they're good for everyday use. They'll be heavier, but I won't be so worried if I smack one of these into a curb by accident. that I can't go out and get another one for a few $100 more. And yeah, we'll save those carbon fiber wheels and the Cup 2s for some track days. We'll do a lot of track days. I have a purpose-built car for track days that I'll use for that, but I want to primarily use the car with these wheels and tires to yeah, daily drive, if you will, this car. So we'll continue on from here. Next stop will be a tire shop. I'll get the tires mounted and balanced, and then I'll be off to the Ford dealer later this week to get them to hopefully recalibrate the computer to correct the speedometer area at the wheels and tires. So come along on the journey. From the tire shop where they mounted the tires onto my new aluminum rims, you can see that new rims are pretty darn freaking close to the carbon fiber wheels that came on my R, so they're impressively close. There's going to be some differences, I think, because of the wheel nuts that come on it, but we'll get these mounted on now, and I'll also show you eventually here a comparison between the 4S's and the Cup 2 tires in terms of tread, and as a result, likely note of hydroplaning. Here's the comparison of the Cup 2 tires against the PS 4S, both Michelin products. Both are ultra high performance category tires. But you can see the amount of tread is almost non-existent here, on a few snipes on the third member, and then just deep outer grooves on the far edge of the tread pattern on the Cup 2s compared to the 4S's, which have a great deal more water channeling capability than the Cup 2s. So that's why I'm going with it, and we'll get these on now. This is probably the most obvious way to see fundamentally how thick the hub's flanges are on the R carbon fiber wheels. Those studs are as long as the ones I have on my race car. And that's done on a race car more to allow you to center and slam the wheel on fast for quick wheel changes. But these give my race car a run for the money in terms of their length, and that's why switching to an aluminum wheel and then mounting conventional nuts just isn't going to work. You have to use these other wheel nuts, which actually look a lot like the ones on my race car, and actually create a bit of a look of the race car on the front end of the car. Most obviously because it's the most pronounced on the front end. One thing that they did warn me when I bought this, well, it was on the website, that there's issues with the wheel nuts. The web on the carbon fiber wheel is quite significantly thicker than what's required for aluminum in order to get the structural strength, I presume, anyways, and impact resistance. So what you end up, they supply you with open-ended wheel nuts here to go on. I'm not sure I'm totally gassed about it. I'm sure I can find some better looking wheel nuts than this, but it'll get me going down the road for the time being, and I'll change those when it makes sense. Just take a look at the carbon fiber wheel. Yeah, you can see there's maybe, I'm not sure if you can see, but there's quite a significant depth to the hub here where it mounts up to the wheel. So yeah, the studs on the wheels are much longer than necessary in order to mount a conventional aluminum wheel. So we'll put these wheel nuts on and finish getting the tires on. That's the wheel mounted on with the nuts tightened. See the length like that. That's sitting on the face of the flange of the wheel. Obviously it's countersunk and would sit deeper than that, so you can see it would actually have to go on quite a bit through the cap of the nut, so not open hell it was going to work. These are what the wheels look like on the car in terms of how they fit relative to the body. Looks pretty darn close to stock, if I were to say. You'd be hard pressed to tell these apart from the stock wheels. The big giveaway is just the lug nuts. All four wheels are on the car. The only thing left now to do, after I torqued all the wheel nuts to 150 foot-pounds, is to train the tire pressure monitoring system with the Ford tool here. So hopefully this is going to work. Give it a try. Press the brake once, start button once, twice, we got the horn honk. Now we'll go around to the tires and see if we can get them to get picked up here. That's the left front. Right front. Rear. Left rear. That should be it. Training complete. Press OK. OK. And trying to remember since I'm a bit new to this. Different modes here. I think it's in there. Go to gauge mode. Ah, there we go. Wow. Definitely got tire pressures all over the map. I'm going to have to cross-check those and send them back to factory specs here. So we'll do that. It's actually impressive how many different modes there are on the dash, even though it's relatively analog. It's definitely a driver's dash as opposed to a technology kind of guy's dash. So, but I do appreciate there's a bunch of data they're displaying off the CAN bus in the vehicle, which is nice. Okay, so a couple of days from now we'll be going to the Ford dealer and they're going to reprogram the computer hopefully to the wheel diameter that I've put on. I couldn't, to match the exact stock wheel diameters and wheel dimensions, was the only thing available was the Cup 2s. And looked around and around, went back and forth, and the PS4S's are about 1% off from the stock tires, so you know, every 100k or 100 miles would be off by 1 mile. It's pretty minor, but if they can tune the computer to correct that, I'd be happy to have that, so it's reading actual correct mileage for the car. It's taken a little longer than expected to finish this video, and this for a number of reasons. In between the time of my last shoot and today, been a few things, like we actually had some more snow, which is not uncommon as we transition through spring and into summer. That's why the grass is a lot greener now. Other thing is the tires. I actually took the car for a bit of a road test and it seemed a little noisy to me, so I looked a little deeper and found out that the fellows that I had used previously for lots of other tire work, they actually mounted one of the tires on backwards. So on the tires, they are directional to the extent that they have an inside and outside on the tire, and so the driver's front tire was on backwards, so I had to take it back and get that remounted and reinstalled. And then I wanted to get the speedometer recalibrated, as I mentioned, at the Ford dealer. Admittedly, it's a very small error on this car. It's like in the order of 0.9% error in the difference in the size of the tires. So the Ford dealer wasn't sure if they actually could even do that. They had to go back to Ford themselves, and they verified that you can change the tire diameter in the programming of the computer. Wasn't 100% sure that'll fix the speedometer odometer error, but I was willing to pay the money, but they respectfully declined to do the work. They didn't think it was worthwhile, and they weren't 100% sure that it was going to fix it. So at this point I'm going to drive it as it is and enjoy it. So today I'm going for a little bit of a road trip with a friend of mine, just a casual drive. I just helped him put new brakes on his beautiful Nissan 300ZX, which I don't know if I can get a little shot of it. It's down there at my shop, so it's only got about 10,000 kilometers on it. So we're off for a bit of a drive. Should be fun. There's the beautiful 300ZX Survivor in excellent mint shape. We're just going for a nice casual drive down the highway as my friend burnishes in his brakes. I know people will be wondering how the difference is between the Cup 2s and the PS4S tires that I put on this car. Really going down the road, hitting bumps, there's no real big difference between the carbon fiber wheels, you know, on regular driving. Obviously, if you're pushing the car to the limits, there's going to be obvious benefit to having the Cup 2 tires versus the PS4S, as well as the carbon fibers. Reduced unsprung weight is going to improve handling characteristics of the car. But you know, when you're street driving, you're nowhere near the limit of the vehicle. At least you ought not be. That'd be my disclaimer, and lawyers speaking. So yeah, as a regular street driving tire, you really can't feel a big difference. There is a bit of responsiveness in terms of initial turn-in. You can feel a little more squirm because there's actually tread blocks with versus the Cup 2 tires, but it's a really minor effect. It's not a big effect, so really there isn't a big deal between the two tires and the way it's riding. And like I said, if I'm going to track this car, I'll do that with the carbon fiber wheels and the Cup 2s on. But for everyday driving, I think these PS4Ss are going to be great. I'm happy with the other improvements I've made on the car so far, so I've got a few more improvements planned and more videos to come, as well as some good input from your comments, and I appreciate people providing me comments and thoughts on other videos that I can put together, and I'll do that as time permits, and hope you enjoy what I'm doing. So how was that, Dave?
It sounds like a Porsche bit. You gotta be on your game to drive this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, really fast steering.